International law is dying. We're going to miss it when it's gone. So a couple of weeks ago, Trump bombed Iran. You probably saw a lot of coverage about that and maybe even saw some coverage about why that was a problem under domestic American law. But what you didn't see was a lot of conversation about international law. Not really from Congress, not from the media, not from any of the people you would expect to push Trump on that front. If they had pushed him on whether it was legal under international law to strike Iran, it would have showed just how absurd the Trump administration's definition here is. Trump claims that it was, quote, collective self-defense of Israel because Iran may one day get a nuclear weapon and it's in Israel's interest to stop that. But by this logic, Iran could attack Israel to destroy its actually existing nuclear weapons program, North Korea could attack South Korea, and hell, Russia could even attack America. This is the state of international law today. 80 years after the signing of the UN Charter, which banned basically all forms of offensive war, we've more or less given up on the idea of forcing states to adhere to a uniform set of rules. Some say international law has never really been very strong, and so this isn't such a big deal. But critics overlook just how effective international law has been and how dangerous it will be to get rid of it. The power of international law comes down to norms. In this case, the norm against transborder aggression. Domestic law actually works in a very similar way. Think of drunk driving. When you have a few beers, why don't you drive home after? Odds are that you are going to get home and get off scot-free for whatever you do. What stops you from drunk driving in most cases is a strong norm against it. It used to be normal to drink and drive, but because of years of advocacy campaigns and public awareness efforts, now it's seen as something with major stigma attached to it. And that social stigma for a lot of people is a much more powerful deterrent than any actual fear of getting arrested. The norm against transborder aggression worked in much the same way, and it was remarkably powerful. As legal scholars Una Hathaway and Scott Shapiro recently wrote, in the century before World War II, before international law, there were more than 150 successful territorial conquests. There have been fewer than 10 in the 8 decades since. Small states used to be under constant threat, but now they can survive without any active protection. The world got a lot safer. States have pretty much given up on protecting this norm. Trump has relished in this, threatening to invade Panama one day and Greenland the next. If international norms are sober motoring, then Trump has declared that drunk driving is actually pretty cool. All of this means that we're going back to a pre-World War II world. Small states will once again be afraid of conquest, and they will rearm. This will likely lead to arms races and even conflicts across the world. No single country is going to get out of this unscathed. Now here's what worries me most. 80 years ago, the devastation of World War II convinced most world leaders that it was time to get rid of offensive war. My fear today is that we may need another world historic disaster to set ourselves right again. For more on this, as well as lots of the other biggest challenges facing humanity today, I encourage you to check out more of our work at nonzero.org.